$2,000 a month in California. Most people hear that and laugh, and I can't really judge them, to be honest. They picture San Francisco rents and LA parking tickets. God, these parking tickets are awful. And they assume you need six figures just to keep the lights on, which is kind of true. But California is not one place. It is dozens of completely different worlds sharing the same state line. And some of those worlds are shockingly cheap. We're not talking about sleeping in your car or eating ramen 7 nights a week. We're talking about real apartments, real groceries, real lives on $2,000 a month. These are 10 California towns where that budget actually works. Let's go.
29 Palms sits at the northern gateway to Joshua Tree National Park in the high desert of San Bernardino County. Population around 28,000. Average rent for a one-bedroom runs about $1,000 to $1,100. On $2,000 a month, you cover rent, utilities, groceries, gas, and still have real breathing room. Joshua Tree is one of the most visited national parks in the country. Those twisted desert trees, the massive boulder formations, the sunsets that look like paintings. People fly across the world to spend the weekend here. You would be living at the front door. $80 annual park pass, and that is your entertainment sorted. The Marine Corps Air Ground Combat Center is here, largest Marine base in the world. That means civilian jobs in contracting, maintenance, logistics, and food service. The base gives this town economic stability that most small desert towns never have. There's also a surprisingly active art scene. Murals all over town, small galleries in unexpected places. The 29 Palms Artists Guild has been running for decades. On weekends, the coffee shops fill up with a mix of Marines, artists, and park visitors. It is a weird combination, but it works. Sky's the Limit Observatory hosts free night sky programs, and out here with almost zero light pollution, the Milky Way is unreal. Palm Springs is about 45 minutes south for bigger shopping and medical specialists. The trade-offs are desert trade-offs. Summers easily hit 110, the town is remote and you feel it. Not much to do beyond the park and the small downtown. But for someone who wants affordable California with a world-famous national park in their backyard and a military base keeping the economy stable, 29 Palms is hard to beat. You are living where other people vacation for $1,000 a month. Ridgecrest sits in the high desert of northeastern Kern County, right next to the Naval Air Weapons Station at China Lake. Population around 28,000, and almost nobody outside of the military community has ever heard of it, which is exactly why it is still affordable. Average rent runs about $1,000 to $1,100 for a one-bedroom. That is roughly 30% below the national average and basically a different universe from coastal California. On $2,000 a month, rent takes about half your budget. That leaves around $900 for groceries, gas, utilities, and some breathing room. It is tight, but it works. China Lake is the economic engine. It is one of the Navy's most critical weapons testing and development facilities. If you have any background in defense, engineering, government contracting, or even maintenance and logistics, Ridgecrest is quietly a goldmine. The jobs connected to the base often pay well above what the local cost of living would suggest. That means your $2,000 starting point could turn into something much bigger pretty fast. The setting is dramatic. Ridgecrest sits in the Indian Wells Valley, surrounded by 4 mountain ranges: Sierra Nevada to the west, Cosos to the north, Argus Range east, El Paso Mountains south. Death Valley is an hour drive. The Southern Sierra is an hour the other direction. If you like wide open space and solitude, this is paradise. The town did take a serious hit from 2 big earthquakes in 2019, a 6.4 followed by a 7.1 within 48 hours, made national news. The town rebuilt, but it is worth knowing about if seismic risk matters to you. Summers are brutal, easily 110, but winters are pleasant and mild. For $2,000 a month, you get a real apartment in a real town with genuine career potential if you plug into the base economy. Most people will never consider Ridgecrest because they have never heard of it. That is their loss. And if you never heard my channel before, don't let it be another loss. I cover California towns every day, so if you like the content, please subscribe. All right, let's move on.
Madera sits right in the middle of the San Joaquin Valley, halfway between Fresno and Yosemite National Park. Population around 65,000, making it the first mid-sized city on this list, and it is one of the most underrated affordable towns in the entire state. Rent for a one-bedroom averages $900 to $1,100. On $2,000 a month, you cover rent, groceries at about $350, utilities around $150, gas about $100, and still have a couple hundred left over. That is a real budget, not a fantasy spreadsheet. Location is what makes Madera special. Fresno is 20 minutes south. That gives you access to a legitimate city with hospitals, a university, major shopping, and a real job market without paying Fresno prices. And you are roughly an hour from the entrance to Yosemite. People spend thousands of dollars to vacation where you could be living full-time. Agriculture drives the local economy. Madera County is one of the top producing agricultural counties in the nation. Almonds, grapes, pistachios, dairy. If you have experience in farming, logistics, food processing, or equipment operation, there is steady work here. The downtown has been going through some quiet revitalization. New restaurants popping up, small businesses moving in. The Madera Wine Trail connects a handful of small local wineries that most tourists never hear about. It is not Napa, but it is genuine, and it is growing. The negatives are real. Summers regularly blow past 100 degrees from June through September. Air quality in the valley gets rough, especially during wildfire season. And you will not find the cultural scene of a bigger city here. But for $2,000 a month, you get a real apartment in a real town positioned between a major city and one of the most famous national parks on Earth. Show me another place in California where you get that combination at this price. I will wait.
Corcoran is a small farming town in Kings County, right in the belly of the San Joaquin Valley. Population around 22,000, and it is quietly one of the cheapest places to live in all of California. Rent for a one-bedroom averages around $700 to $850 a month. That is not a typo. On $2,000, you're not surviving here, you are comfortable. You are paying rent, buying groceries, filling up the gas tank, covering utilities, and still looking at $300 to $400 left over every single month. The economy runs on agriculture. Cotton, wheat, safflower, grain. Kings County is one of the most productive farming regions in the state, and Corcoran sits right in the center of it. If you can drive a truck, operate heavy equipment, or work in food processing, there is steady work available. The town has been making headlines recently for a wild reason. Tulare Lake, which was considered dried up and gone for decades, has been refilling thanks to massive snowmelt and heavy rain seasons. It is one of the strangest ecological stories happening in California right now, and it is playing out right next to this little town. Corcoran is small, and it feels small. There's a downtown with the basics, a grocery store, a few restaurants, a hardware store. For anything bigger, you are driving 45 minutes north to Visalia or an hour to Fresno. Summers are scorching and the valley air quality gets rough, but the cost of living here is genuinely rock bottom. If stretching every dollar is your top priority and you do not mind the quiet rural life, Corcoran deserves a serious look. $2,000 a month here leaves you with real money in your pocket. And in California, that is not nothing. That is everything.
Redding is where California stops looking like California and starts looking like the Pacific Northwest. Tall pines, the Sacramento River cutting right through downtown, Shasta Lake just 15 minutes to the north. It is one of the most beautiful settings of any affordable city in the state. Population around 100,000 in the metro area. Average rent for a one-bedroom runs about $1,100 to $1,200. On $2,000 a month, that is tight but workable, especially if you hunt for studios or private rentals on the lower end, where things drop into the 800s and 900s. After rent, you are budgeting around $300 for groceries, $150 for utilities, and a bit more for gas because everything is spread out up here. The outdoor recreation is genuinely world-class. Shasta Lake is the largest reservoir in California. Mount Shasta is visible from town on clear days. The Sundial Bridge downtown was designed by the same architect behind the City of Arts and Sciences in Valencia, Spain, and it is legitimately stunning.
Whiskeytown Lake is 20 minutes west. Lassen Volcanic National Park is an hour east. The Trinity Alps are an hour northwest. If your idea of a good life involves fishing, hiking, kayaking, or mountain biking, Redding is elite tier. The job market centers on healthcare. Mercy Medical Center and Shasta Regional are the biggest employers. There is also a growing remote worker community because people figured out they can get a mountain lifestyle at Central Valley prices and just work from a laptop. The catch is the heat. Redding is famous for it. Summers regularly hit 110 to 115 degrees. It is one of the hottest cities in California, which is saying something. And wildfire risk is not theoretical here. The Carr Fire in 2018 burned into city limits. That is recent history, not ancient news. But if you can handle the summers and respect fire season, Redding offers a quality of life that punches way above its price tag. Nature, beauty, a real city with real services, and you can make 2,000 work. Modesto has about 220,000 people in the northern San Joaquin Valley. It is a kind of city that never shows up on anyone's dream list. Nobody moves to California and says, "Put me in Modesto." But honestly, maybe they should. Average rent for a one-bedroom runs about $1,100 to $1,300. On $2,000 a month, it is tight in the bigger apartment complexes, but very doable if you find a private rental or a studio. Groceries and utilities run below the state average. Gas is cheaper than the coast, and your location is quietly excellent. San Francisco is 90 minutes west, Yosemite is 2 hours east, Sacramento is an hour and a half north, the beach is about 2.5 hours. You are not next door to anything famous, but you're not far from anything either. Modesto sits at the crossroads. The economy is more diverse than people expect. Agriculture is still the foundation, but there's serious activity in manufacturing, logistics, healthcare, and distribution. Amazon, FedEx, and other big logistics companies have operations in the area because of Modesto's position along Highway 99 and its freeway access. There are actual jobs here, not just seasonal farm work. George Lucas grew up in Modesto. The movie American Graffiti was inspired by his teenage years cruising McHenry Avenue. There's a fun small-town pride about that, even though Modesto's not really a small town anymore. Downtown has the Modesto Arch that reads "Water, Wealth, Contentment, Health," which is honestly one of the most accidentally poetic city slogans you'll ever see. The downsides are the usual valley package: hot summers, air quality issues, and Modesto has historically dealt with higher property crime rates than the state average. But the city has been investing in revitalization, and the trend line has been improving. For $2,000 a month, Modesto gives you a real city with real infrastructure and a geographic position that puts half of California within a couple hours drive. That is a lot of value for very little money. Tehachapi is a mountain town in Kern County sitting at about 4,000 feet elevation between the San Joaquin Valley and the Mojave Desert, population around 13,000, and it is one of the best kept secrets in affordable California living. Average rent runs about $1,100 to $1,400 depending on the unit. On $2,000 a month, you want to aim for the lower end of that range, which means studios, older buildings, or private rentals. It takes some hunting, but it is doable. What makes Tehachapi different from everything else on this list is the climate. At 4,000 feet, you escape the brutal valley heat that bakes every other town we have talked about. Summer highs average in the low 90s instead of 110. You get actual seasons here. Real fall colors, snow in winter, wildflowers in spring. This is a version of California that most people do not even know exists. The town has a charming small downtown with local shops, cafes, and a real community feel. The Tehachapi Loop is famous among train fans worldwide. It's an engineering marvel where the railroad track spirals over itself to gain elevation, and people travel from all over the planet to photograph it. The Pacific Crest Trail passes through the area. Wind farms stretch across the hills east of town, which is also a growing employment sector. Bakersfield is about 35 minutes down the mountain on Highway 58. That gives you access to a bigger job market, hospitals, and major shopping without having to live in the valley heat. The trade-off is isolation. You are on a mountain. Getting anywhere means driving down a winding highway. Winter storms can make the pass tricky, and the town is small enough that your entertainment options are mostly outdoors and community events. But for someone who wants clean air, cool temperatures, and genuine small-town mountain living, Tehachapi is a unicorn. Mountain lifestyle at valley prices. That combination basically does not exist anywhere else in California.
Clovis calls itself the gateway to the Sierras, and that is not just marketing. This city of about 120,000 sits right next to Fresno, but feels like a completely different world. Cleaner streets, better schools, lower crime, a charming old town district with antique shops, cafes, and a real community heartbeat. Average rent runs about $1,100 to $1,300 for a one-bedroom. On $2,000 a month, that leaves around $700 to $900 for everything else. Tight, but very manageable because groceries and utilities in the Central Valley run below the state average. Schools are the headliner. Clovis Unified School District is consistently ranked among the best public school districts in the entire state. If you have kids and you are on a budget, this might be the best deal in education anywhere in California. Families move to Clovis specifically for the schools. That is how strong the reputation is. Yosemite is about 90 minutes east. Sequoia and Kings Canyon are nearby too. The Sierra Nevada foothills literally start at the edge of town. For outdoor access on a budget, you cannot try it up better than this. The job market benefits from sitting right next to Fresno. Hospitals, a university, a growing tech presence, and a massive agricultural economy are all 10 minutes away. You live in Clovis for the quality of life and commute into Fresno for the paycheck. The Clovis Rodeo in April has been running for over 100 years. Clovis Fest in the fall brings hot air balloons, food vendors, and live music. Friday nights in Old Town actually have energy, which is more than most affordable California towns can say. Heat is the main downside. You are still in the valley, so summers blast past 100 degrees on the regular. Air quality suffers during fire season, but for the best schools, the safest streets, and the most livable community on a $2,000 budget in the Central Valley, Clovis is the answer. No contest. I know, just hear me out. Bakersfield is the city everybody makes fun of. It is the punchline of every California joke. Too hot, too flat, too boring, nothing to do, middle of nowhere. You have heard all of it. But here is what nobody bothers to tell you. Bakersfield is quietly one of the best deals in the entire state of California. Average rent for a one-bedroom runs about $1,100 to $1,200. On $2,000 a month, that gives you a real working budget. $800 to $900 left over for groceries, gas, utilities, and you are still putting money away at the end of the month. But unlike the smaller towns on this list, Bakersfield is a real city. Population over 400,000 in the metro. Hospitals, multiple colleges, a downtown that has actually been getting better. Restaurants, breweries, parks, movie theaters. It is not the cultural wasteland that people who have never been here love to pretend it is. The job market is the strongest on this entire list. Oil and energy, agriculture, logistics, healthcare, distribution. Bakersfield has actual career paths, not just minimum wage gigs to get by on. Companies like Chevron, Grimway Farms, and Dignity Health are major employers. The cost of housing compared to wages is one of the best ratios anywhere in the state. The music history is worth knowing about. Bakersfield is where the Bakersfield sound was born. Buck Owens and Merle Haggard came out of this city and changed country music. The Crystal Palace, Buck Owens' music venue, is still open and still hosting live shows. That is actual culture. You are 2 hours from LA, 2 hours from the coast, an hour from the Southern Sierra. Sequoia National Park is right up the road. You are not trapped in Bakersfield. You are based in Bakersfield. The heat is real. July and August are punishing, regularly over 105. Air quality in the valley consistently ranks among the worst in the country. Those are genuine problems, and no one should pretend otherwise. But the cost of living, the job market, and the infrastructure make Bakersfield the most complete affordable city on this entire list. Everybody laughs at it until they see their bank account at the end of the month. Then suddenly, Bakersfield doesn't seem so funny anymore. And guys, if you like my videos and want to support a Californian content creator, please subscribe. It really matters a lot for me. All right, let's move on. Chico is number 1 on this list because it breaks every pattern. Every other town here makes you choose, affordable or interesting. Pick one. Chico says no, you can have both. This is a city of about 100,000 people in the northern Sacramento Valley, home to California State University Chico, and it has a personality that is completely unlike any other affordable city in the state.
Average rent for a one-bedroom runs about $1,100 to $1,300. On $2,000 a month, it is the tightest fit on this list. But what you get for that money is in a completely different league than anywhere else we have talked about. Start with Bidwell Park, one of the largest municipal parks in the entire country. Over 3,600 acres stretching from the edge of downtown into the Sierra Nevada foothills. Swimming holes, hiking trails, mountain biking, rock climbing, all of it free. All of it 5 minutes from your front door. The swimming scenes from Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves were filmed here. That should tell you something about how beautiful this place is. Downtown Chico is legitimately cool. Not trying to be cool, actually cool. Independent bookstores, coffee roasters, live music venues, craft breweries everywhere you look. Sierra Nevada Brewing Company was born here, and it is still here. The taproom alone is worth a trip from anywhere in Northern California. Thursday night market in the summer fills the streets with food vendors, local musicians, and thousands of people. It feels alive in a way that most towns at this price simply do not. The university brings energy and diversity. The food scene is surprisingly deep for a city this size. Thai, Mexican, farm to table, outstanding pizza. You are not eating at Applebee's every night. You have real options. The job market works for a smaller city. Healthcare, education, agriculture, and a growing remote worker population that discovered you can have a beautiful life here and work from a laptop. Enloe Medical Center is a big employer. The university provides thousands of jobs. And because Chico is a place people genuinely want to be, small businesses survive and thrive in ways they just do not in most valley towns. Now, the elephant in the room: wildfire. Paradise, the town that was destroyed by the Camp Fire in 2018, is 15 minutes east of Chico. That fire killed 85 people and was the deadliest wildfire in California history. Chico absorbed thousands of displaced residents, and that memory is still very much present in this community. Fire season here is not something you read about in the news. It is personal. But Chico itself was not destroyed. The city grew, it adapted, and it remains one of the most genuinely livable small cities in the entire state of California. For $2,000 a month, Chico gives you culture, parks, great food, real community, and the life that does not feel like a compromise. Every other town on this list trades something for affordability. Chico barely trades anything. That is why it's number one. Those are 10 California towns where $2,000 a month is not just a survival budget, it is a real life. Will it be tight some months? Absolutely. But the point is that it is possible. California is not just for people pulling in six figures. There are places all over the state where regular people with regular budgets are living well. You just have to know where to look. If you found this useful, subscribe because we cover California like this every single week. We will see you in the next one.